much for being there with us. Malachy, Ugwumadu, and Okey, Nwanguma, welcome to the conversation.
That was what he told me too.
All right, we are already on Malachy. We can hear you loud and clear. And Okey, Nwanguma, welcome, gentlemen, to the conversation. The suspension of ABBA KYARI, Deputy Commissioner of Police, by the Police Service Commission. A right step to take? Malachy, let's start with you.
First of all, good morning, and thank you for having me. Well, I will say that, first of all, that it's a very, very disturbing development. Talking about one of the most celebrated, most active court in Nigeria at the moment, having this issue hot on his lap. It's a serious dent so far. That does not take away the presumption of innocence that inues in his favor. System 35 was to say that he's still innocent, he's still presumed innocent until a valid, competent court of law says otherwise. However, I think that so far, the way that it's happening in Nigeria is about the best, however difficult and regrettable it is. The Constitution under Section 153, specifying the powers under the third schedule of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999, vests the power of discipline, control, even appointment, except the Inspector of Police, in the Police Service Commission. And the Police Service Commission, have been, is seized with these facts of this matter now, and have decided to direct that he be suspended pending his investigation. I think that's my immediate reaction to the question.
All right. Okay, let's get your views now. The swiftness was which the PSC, that's the Police Service Commission, of course, the Inspector General of Police, who made the recommendation. The swiftness with which this action was taken to suspend ABBA KYARI pending the investigation, the conclusion of the investigation. Many Nigerians have marveled at that swiftness. How did you receive that news? Do you think it's a step in the right direction, considering the fact that many people have been indicted in one way or the other before now, and Nigerians had to carry placards to stage protests to ask for them to be suspended to avoid interference with investigation?
Well, thank you for having me. I'm not sure I heard you clearly. It's breaking, but I suspect you are asking about my view with the step taken by the Police Service Commission.
Yes, please. Go ahead.
Oh, okay, yeah. When this news broke, many of us who are familiar with the police, and particularly the officer that involved and his team, he didn't come to us with any surprise at all. He didn't come to us with any surprise. And what surprised us actually was that Nigerians were reacting as if anything new happened or what happened had not been happened, because we have been talking about this, raising concerns about the excesses of these units, but nobody paid attention, not even petitions written by human rights group, reports written by Amnesty International drawing attention to the excesses. But I think that unfortunately these things, Nigerians respond only when these news are broken by international media or when international community is involved. But it is good that it has happened, that is, we are vindicated. The case in question is not anything more serious than cases that we have written petitions about that were not paid attention to by the authorities. I think that we did make a call that the first step will be to suspend him, that he cannot be in office while this probe goes on, and I think that it is the right step that the Police Service Commission has taken. We do hope that the police, the team investigating this case must bear in mind the needs. They should not work towards protecting any individual or the institution, but also protecting the image of this country and protecting due process and the rule of law. They must make sure that they do everything transparently, honestly, to arrive at the truth and take the necessary step that needs to be taken. If they find that the indictment is true, they should not hesitate to hand him over. He should be able to submit himself for further investigation and prosecution if need be. That is the only way to salvage the image of this country that has been battered by this incident, which, as I said, is not isolated. It's just illustrative of a pattern of abuse and crime that has been going on under the command of this officer.
All right. Okay. Let me get your thoughts on this particular one. The Intelligence Response Unit is a unit that was headed by ABBA KYARI for many years. And that unit reports directly to the office of the IGP. In fact, it's called the Inspector General of Police Intelligence Response Team or Response Unit. Now, do you also see the image of the IG on the platter right now? And could that also be one of the reasons why the IG of police decided to act very swiftly to detach himself, as it were, from whatever debt allegedly may be on ABBA KYARI at the moment?
I'm not hearing you clearly. The audio is not quite clear. Can you?
Okay, let's say.
Okay, can you get the question?
It's terrible here too.
It's not audible.
You can't get the question.
Can you hear from my end?
Yeah.
Okay, you can hear.
It's like okay. I can hardly hear exactly what you're saying. But if you can take the question, we'll manage and pick the answers.
My question to you is: do you find that the office of the Inspector General of Police is also facing some kind of questions by Nigerians, considering the fact that this particular team reported directly to the office of the IG?
Yes. Is that for me or for Malachy?
You can go on with it. Okay, go on.
Okay. Well, you see, just like I said in my opening comments, nothing that has happened now has happened without the knowledge of the police hierarchy. I have made this point that there is a culture of there's a culture within the Nigerian police where things are covered up because there is a line of people who benefit from criminality. And several petitions have been written about the activities. If you follow the social media, you will hear victims, people whose relatives have been killed, tortured, extorted, their property seized and converted, complaining openly, and nobody is paying attention. Amnesty International has written a report about a particular case where a man was executed, his property, his buildings, his vehicles, his money taken, and you will expect that these were to be tendered as evidence, as exhibits in court, for the court to determine whether these things confiscated from accused persons or suspects and were processes of crime. But no, they were converted to private use by these operatives. And the office of the Inspector General of Police cannot say he doesn't know because petitions have been written to him, and because there is this belief that returns are made to as far up to the office of the IGP. So they keep they pretend that they do not know. Everybody is reacting now because it has become a global scandal. We can't get away with it. What we're even saying is that there is need to do an audit of all the cases that this unit has handled and the involvement of police authorities in covering up crime that have been reported to as far up to the office of the IGP. So they all know they're all complicit. So it is nothing new. They all know what is happening.
All right, Malachy, considering, even though ABBA KYARI is still considered innocent until all the investigations are concluded and is proven guilty, but then considering the high-profile cases which he has made giant strides in, which Nigeria know him for as a super cop, did it come to you as a surprise that his name even came up at all in this case of Hush Puppy?
Well, that for me comes across as a rhetorical question. It is almost like asking me as a Catholic whether I would be scandalized if I heard that my priest was involved in a scandal that will otherwise not be associated with. So I take it as given that we're not just mesmerized, we are scandalized. It comes across as one of those lowest moments of our history. And I quite, as a lawyer, I am proceeding cautiously. I am aware, being a practitioner of the law and being deeply involved in the human rights movement in Nigeria, to say that there have been series and series of complaints of police brutality, police high-handedness. However, this issue, as it stands, has everything to do with abuse of power and office. The crux of the matter, the thrust of the matter, is that this accused person, because no longer a suspect, I'm talking of Hush Puppy, that's Abbas, standing trial now in a court in the United States, has fingered ABBA KYARI, rightly or wrongly. That is allegation, that is a body of evidence that the prosecution has presented before the court, saying that he has been reached and they have procured his services to deal ruthlessly with a co-conspirator or a co-cybercrime suspect who is also standing trial, or whose name was also mentioned in that whole case. So, look, it is a big dent. It is an image damage, not just to the Nigerian police.
Malachy, just a moment. Let me just read this for you as we sign off.
An encouragement from this particular officer. Don't forget that only recently the House of Representatives, for whatever reason that drew them to that conclusion, gave a section in honor of this man who was invited to stand in the hallowed chambers of the National Assembly to receive an award. Now, how would you not honor a man who, in recent history and against the backdrop of the chaotic insecurity crisis in the country, was able to resolve and crack the Evans matter? He was able to deal with the Wadume matter. He was able to deal with so many other high-profile cases. So, if you ask me that question, I will say the answer is out there. The jury is out.
Okay.
However, we are insisting, and I would like to conclude here, that the due process must be followed. But in my preliminary remarks, I have said it appears the Police Service Commission, a body, an executive body under Section 153 of the Constitution, whose responsibilities and powers are outlined under the third schedule of the same Constitution, has the power to do what they have done at the moment.
All right.
Indeed, ABBA KYARI can show how honorable he is if he can turn himself in. You don't need to be invited. You don't need to be extradited.
Okay, let's quickly get Okey's take as we sign off. Malachy, because we are out of time.
Here. That will not happen. If it happens, it will against the law.
Thank you. Okay, quick one. We haven't heard much in terms of the defense from ABBA KYARI because, as we have said here, he's still presumed innocent based on Nigeria's law until proven guilty. But using some of the defense he has put out already, the first statement he put out on social media, on Facebook, on his Facebook page, saying, all right, they said I collected money from Hush Puppy. I really didn't collect money because of what the FBI has said. It was because I needed to help him run some errands on some clothes which he saw me wear, and it was quite nice. How much of that is a defense for him, and does it in any way exculpate him from these heinous allegations?
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely agree with you and with my colleague that due process is important. It must be followed in dealing with this case. But you see, when it comes to denials, it's part of the game. I mean, Because marginalization is one that intervenes regularly on behalf of people who are victims of this unit, and we have had to engage directly with the operatives. And our experience is that we received complaints that they detained us, they took money, extorted, and they will say, no, what evidence do you have? But there have been cases where we were able to get evidence and we confronted them and they refunded money. So the false response is to deny. So denial is usually, because I mean, my colleague has rightly said that indeed this officer has, demonstrated gallantry in cracking high-profile cases. But you see, beyond what we see, there are other things that happen. For example, if you take the Wadume case, for example, yes, the guy was arrested, the money they robbed were recovered, and the kingpin of the gang was killed, who was said to be in possession of the money robbed, was executed. Nobody has told us where that money is. Yes, the case of Evans as well. If we investigate, we need to know whether what were collected from Evans and what are been tendered as exhibits. So all these are important. This is the point that we are stressing. That it is good that
we have to go
is
now.
able to deal with this